Rimuru and Ultima goes to One Piece, Rimuru and Ultima x One Piece, by Veldanava-God. Chapter 17. A kingdom in shadows. The moon hung high in the sky, casting a pale light over the capital of Veldori Island. The city was unusually quiet tonight, its citizens unaware of the chaos about to unfold within the royal palace. The wind howled softly as Rimuru and Ultima prepared themselves aboard their ship. The night had finally come, the night they would take control of the island. Ultima stretched her arms and cracked her knuckles, a feral grin spreading across her face. Finally, we're doing this. I've been itching for a good fight all day. Rimuru, standing beside her on the deck, nodded calmly, though a subtle excitement sparked in his eyes. Don't get too carried away. We're here to send a message, not destroy the entire capital. Ultima snorted, though she understood Rimuru's reasoning. Yeah, I know. Keep the destruction to a minimum. But those guards inside the palace are gonna regret being in our way. They'll be strong, Rimuru reminded her, a hint of caution in his tone. But nothing we can't handle. Just stay focused. With that, the two leapt from their ship and blended into the shadows of the city. The streets were empty, save for a few stray patrols that wandered aimlessly through the darkened alleys. Rimuru's observation haki guides them through the maze of streets, allowing them to avoid any unnecessary confrontations. They moved quickly and silently, like wraiths in the night. After some time, the towering silhouette of the royal palace came into view. Rimuru halted in the shadows of a nearby building, his eyes scanning the perimeter. The palace was heavily guarded, but most of the soldiers outside were of little concern. The real threat lay within the throne room, the king's elite guards, 6 warriors who possessed haki and were trained to defend the ruler at all costs. We're here, Rimuru said, his voice barely a whisper. Ultima cracked her neck and stretched her arms. About time. Let's make this quick. They slipped through the gates unnoticed, their movements precise and fluid. The palace guards were none the wiser as Rimuru and Ultima navigated the corridors, heading straight for the throne room. Within minutes, they stood just outside the massive double doors leading to their target. Rimuru extended his observation haki, feeling the presence of the king and his 6 guards inside. He turned to Ultima, who was practically vibrating with excitement. There are 6 of them, plus the king. They're ready, but they don't know we're here yet. Ultima grins, her eyes sparkle. Perfect. Let's give them a little surprise. With a swift motion, Rimuru pushed open the doors to the throne room. The sound echoed through the chamber as they stepped inside, their cloaks falling from their shoulders to reveal who they truly were. The king, a tall and regal man adorned in ornate armor, sat on his throne at the far end of the room. His 6 elite guards stood at attention, their hands on their weapons as they immediately recognized the threat before them. The air was thick with tension as Rimuru and Ultima slowly approached the throne, their eyes locked on the king. The king's gaze hardened, but he didn't rise from his seat. Who dares intrude upon my palace? State your business. Rimuru's voice was calm, yet carried an undeniable authority. We're here to take this island under our control. Surrender now, and you might live to see tomorrow. Ultima folded her arms, smirking. Or don't, and we'll make sure you don't see the sunrise. The king's eyes narrowed. You dare challenge me in my own throne room? You may be strong, but my guards will cut you down where you stand. At the king's command, the 6 elite guards sprang into action, their weapons drawn as they charged at Rimuru and Ultima. But neither of them flinched. Instead, they waited until the last possible moment, their bodies fluidly dodging the incoming strikes. Rimuru's movements were calm and deliberate as he sidestepped the first attack. His observation haki allowed him to see every move the guards made before they even committed to it. Meanwhile, Ultima, with her usual fiery energy, danced around the strikes with ease, laughing as she dodged. Is that all you've got? Ultima taunted, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Come on, you call yourselves elites? Rimuru, growing tired of merely dodging, activated his armament haki. His fists darkened, covered in the shimmering black aura that signified his mastery of the technique. Ultima followed suit, her own fists glowing with the advanced version of armament haki, her strength far surpassing that of the guards. With a single swift motion, Rimuru caught the sword of the first guard, his hand stopping the blade with ease. You're not strong enough to face me, he said simply before delivering a devastating blow to the guard's stomach. The force sent the man flying across the room, his body crashing into the wall with a sickening thud. Ultima, on the other hand, wasn't holding back at all. She met the charge of 2 guards head-on, her laughter echoing through the room as she effortlessly dodged their strikes. "This is too easy," she shouted before slamming her hockey-infused fist into one of the guards' chest. The impact shattered his armor, and he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. The other guard hesitated, but Ultima's eyes gleamed with bloodlust. "Oh, don't think you're getting away." She dashed forward, her hand glowing with advanced armament hockey as she struck him with a powerful punch to the side. His ribs shattered under the force, and he crumpled to the ground, unconscious. The remaining guards were visibly shaken, but they steeled themselves and pressed the attack. Rimuru, however, had already predicted their movements. He weaved between their strikes with ease, his body moving like water as he countered every attack. "Your hockey is impressive," one of the guards grunted, his sword flashing as he aimed for Rimuru's neck. "But not impressive enough," Rimuru replied, catching the blade in his hand again before delivering a crushing blow to the guard's chest. The man staggered back, gasping for breath before collapsing. Ultima, meanwhile, had finished off the last of the guards, her grin wide and her fists still glowing with power. "That was fun, but I expected more. These guys weren't nearly as strong as I hoped." Rimuru glanced at the fallen guards, then turned his attention to the king, who remained seated on his throne, his expression unreadable. "You're out of options," Rimuru said, his voice cold. "Your guards are down. Now, you have 2 choices." Ultima stepped forward, her grin fading as she spoke. "Option 1. You become our puppet, and you get to keep your head. Option 2. Well." She raised her arm, her hand still glowing with hockey. "You lose it." The king's jaw clenched, his eyes darting between the 2 of them. He could see that his elite guards had been defeated with ease, and the power that radiated from Rimuru and Ultima was undeniable. But even in the face of such overwhelming strength, his pride wouldn't allow him to submit. "I will never become a puppet king," the king spat, rising to his feet. "I'd rather die with my honor intact than serve under tyrants like you." Ultima's grin returned, a dangerous glint in her eyes. "Good choice." Before the king could react, Ultima dashed forward with blinding speed. Her hand, coated in advanced armament hockey, sliced through the air, and in one swift motion, she decapitated the king. His head hit the floor with a dull thud, and his body collapsed onto the throne, blood pooling around it. The throne room fell into an eerie silence as Ultima turned to Rimuru, her grin still in place. "Well, that was satisfying." Rimuru nodded, his expression calm. "It was the only outcome. Now, we have work to do." With the king dead and his elite guards defeated, Rimuru and Ultima made their way to the balcony overlooking the capital. The city below was still quiet, unaware of the shift in power that had just occurred within the palace walls. Rimuru stepped forward, his voice echoing across the capital as he addressed the citizens. "People of Veldanava Island, hear me." Rimuru's voice carried through the night, reaching every corner of the city. "Your king is dead, and from this moment forward, this island belongs to us." Ultima joined him on the balcony, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "You have 2 choices. Submit to us and live, or rebel and die. Your lives now belong to Rimuru and Ultima." The streets below buzzed with activity as the citizens began to realize what had happened. Fear spread like wildfire as the people processed the news. Their king, the ruler they had looked up to for so long, was dead, and now 2 powerful invaders had taken control of their island. Rimuru turned to Ultima, his voice low. "We'll have to manage the unrest. Fear is a powerful tool, but we'll need more than that to keep them in line." Ultima grinned. "Leave it to me. Fear is my specialty." And so, the era of terror began on Veldanava Island, with Rimuru and Ultima reigning as the new rulers. The citizens, gripped by fear of the powerful duo, quickly fell in line, knowing that rebellion would only lead to death. As the moonlight bathed the city in its cold glow, the shadows of Rimuru and Ultima loomed over the land, their rule marked by both power and fear.